The exploration vessel Falcon's Reach floated quietly in the docking bay of Outpost 12. It was late in the day cycle, and most of the crew had finished their duties. The wide hangar was filled with the smell of metal and the low hum of generators. A few engineers worked near the engines, while others gathered in small groups, talking and laughing after the day's work. Near the center of the hangar stood a simulator pod. It was a sleek black capsule with bright green control lights on its side. This simulator was not a game for fun. It was a serious training tool used to test piloting skill in dangerous situations. Every new crew member had to take the basic level. The advanced level was optional, but it was famous for being almost impossible to complete. The only record holder was the ship's AI pilot, which had beaten every human challenger so far. Rian, one of the crew's mechanics, leaned casually against the simulator console. He was known for his quick smile and habit of teasing others. His eyes scanned the group until they landed on Mara, a navigation officer who had joined the crew 3 months ago. She was standing with 2 other crew members, checking the status reports on a handheld device. Mara, Rian called out, his voice carrying over the noise of the hangar. I heard you talking about how you could beat the AI at the advanced run. Mara looked up from her device. I said I might be able to, she replied. Her tone was calm, but there was a small spark of interest in her eyes. That sounds like a challenge, Rian said. He stepped closer, making sure the others could hear him. Why don't you prove it right now? Several crew members turned their heads toward them. Challenges like this were rare, and everyone enjoyed a bit of competition. I'm busy, Mara said, but her voice lacked any real resistance. Busy? Rian laughed. Come on, you talk like you know the ship's controls better than anyone. I bet the AI would finish the course before you even cleared the first asteroid cluster. The words were light, but they had an edge. He was daring her, and everyone knew it. Mara's eyes stayed on Rian for a long second. Then she walked toward the simulator. The crew's quiet chatter turned into an eager buzz. You want to see me fail? Mara asked, stopping in front of him. I want to see if you can do what you say, Rian replied, and I want the rest of the crew to see it too. Mara tilted her head slightly, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a small hair tie. Without hurry, she tied her hair back. The simple action drew every eye in the room. It was not just a way to keep hair out of her face, it was a signal. She was ready to focus. When she finished, she looked directly at Rian. Do you want it gentle or painful? She asked. The hangar fell silent for a moment. Her words were not a threat, but a promise of competition. Some crew members grinned. Others whispered to each other. Rian smirked. Painful, he said. Good, Mara replied. She stepped up to the simulator pod. The simulator was shaped like the cockpit of the Falcon's Reach, with manual controls, holographic displays, and a wraparound projection system to create a perfect 360-degree view. It could simulate everything from asteroid belts to alien space combat. The Advanced Asteroid Field Run was its hardest program. As the simulator hatch opened, the green lights turned blue. Mara climbed inside and lowered herself into the pilot's seat. She adjusted the straps, set her hands lightly on the controls, and took a deep breath. From the outside, the crew gathered near the viewing screens. The screens showed the pilot's view and a top-down map of the simulated asteroid field. Rian took a position near the main console so he could see both the map and Mara's reactions. The captain of the Falcon's Reach, a tall woman named Commander Hale, walked over to see what the noise was about. What's going on here? She asked. Mara's about to take the Advanced Asteroid Run, Rian explained. The captain raised an eyebrow. That's an AI-level challenge. She says she can do it, Rian said. I think we all want to see if she can. The captain looked at Mara inside the pod. Very well. Let's see what you've got, Navigator. Inside. Mara's eyes stayed fixed on the simulated starfield ahead of her. She did not plan to simply match the AI's time. She planned to beat it in a way no one would forget. The system countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The simulated ship roared forward. Asteroids the size of small buildings filled the screen. spinning slowly in the darkness. The path through them twisted and shifted as they drifted in unpredictable patterns. Most pilots would follow the safe routes calculated by the navigation computer, but Mara had no intention of doing that. She angled the ship hard to the left, diving into a narrow gap between two tumbling rocks. The simulator's inertial feedback made the cockpit shudder. A gasp came from the viewing area as she scraped past with less than a meter to spare. Rion's smirk faded just a little. The AI's predicted path showed up on the top-down map. It was wide and safe, weaving through open space to avoid risk. Mara's path, by contrast, was jagged and aggressive. She was shaving seconds off every move. But one wrong turn could end the run instantly. Her eyes moved quickly between the holographic radar and the real view. Her hands adjusted the thrusters in tiny bursts, keeping the ship just ahead of the shifting field. She felt the rhythm of the asteroids as if they were part of a song only she could hear. She had no room for hesitation. The AI might think in probabilities, but she thought in instincts. Each time a gap appeared, she took it before the computer could even recalculate. By the time she cleared the first sector, she was already ahead of the AI's best time. In the hangar, the crew's earlier laughter had turned to quiet focus. The captain's arms were crossed, but her eyes stayed on the screen. Rian leaned forward, watching every move. Mara entered the second sector. The asteroids here were denser, and small meteor fragments streaked across her view. One fragment clipped the edge of the ship's simulated shields, sending a bright flash across the display. She did not slow down. Instead, she increased thrust and spun the ship through a corkscrew maneuver to line up with the next gap. It was a dangerous move that would have been impossible without precise manual control. The simulator shook as she passed through with barely any clearance. The AI's icon on the map was falling behind. By the end of the second sector, Mara was breathing harder, but her grip on the controls was steady. She was already halfway through the challenge, and the most dangerous sector was still to come. In the viewing area, Rian muttered, "She might actually do it." The captain heard him and gave a small, knowing smile. Mara's focus never wavered. She was not thinking about Rian, the crew, or even the AI. She was thinking about the next move, and the one after that. The asteroid field was no longer a test program. It was her territory, and she intended to claim it. The crew leaned closer to the screens as she approached the third sector. The real contest was about to begin. The third sector of the asteroid run was infamous among the crew. Most pilots avoided it entirely during training. It was a shifting maze of giant rocks, thick clouds of ice dust, and unpredictable meteor showers. The AI's course plan was cautious, giving wide space around every hazard. Mara's course was the exact opposite. Inside the simulator, she tightened her grip on the control sticks. Her hair, tied back neatly, did not move as the cockpit shook under the force of the simulated thrusters. The lights inside the podcast, a faint glow across her focused expression. The moment she entered the sector, the display lit up with warnings. Asteroid trajectories were colliding. New debris fragments appeared without warning. Her radar bloomed with red markers, each representing a danger to her ship. In the viewing area, a quiet tension hung over the crew. They had seen skilled pilots run this course before, but no one had taken such sharp angles through the first two sectors. Rian stood with his arms folded, but his eyes never left the screen. The captain stood beside him, her posture steady, her expression unreadable. "She is not following the AI's logic at all," one of the engineers whispered. "She is rewriting the logic," another replied. Inside, Mara pulled the ship into a tight spiral to avoid a sudden meteor shower. The simulator's feedback jolted her seat, but she corrected instantly, using small bursts of the side thrusters to steady her path ahead. Two large asteroids rotated toward each other, their surfaces jagged and lined with ice. The AI's path would wait for them to separate before passing through. Mara accelerated instead, aiming for the narrow space that would exist for less than 3 seconds. Her eyes locked on the gap. She pushed the controls forward. The simulated engines roared. The ship's nose slipped through just as the rocks came within meters of closing. The crew gasped at the perfect timing. That was reckless, Rian muttered under his breath, but there was no denying the precision. In the next moment, a cloud of ice crystals surrounded the ship. Visibility dropped to near zero. The sensors offered a clear path far to the right, but it would take too long. Mara made a choice. She flew straight through the fog, navigating by the faint shadows of the larger asteroids hidden inside. Her training as a navigator gave her a sense of movement that even the AI could not copy. She felt the subtle drift of the ship, adjusted its roll, and kept it angled for maximum speed. Small fragments of ice hit the shields with sharp flashes of light. She emerged from the cloud into open space, having cut an entire minute from the ice time. The crew broke into a short cheer before settling back into silence. They did not want to miss the next move. Rian shifted his stance, now visibly more interested than amused. "She is making it look easy," he said. The captain gave a small nod. "It is not easy. She is making it look that way." The third sector's final stretch was the most dangerous. 3 massive asteroids rotated around each other, locked in a slow gravitational dance. They created shifting tunnels and crushing walls of rock that could trap any ship in seconds. The AI always slowed to a crawl here, waiting for the safest alignment before passing through. Mara studied the rotation pattern. She could see the openings before they formed, as if the rocks were pieces in a game she had played many times before. She rolled the ship sharply and entered the dance without hesitation. The asteroids loomed on all sides, filling the cockpit view with spinning walls of stone. Her hands moved quickly, adjusting the ship's pitch and yawed a thread through each new gap. One opening closed faster than she expected. She reversed thrust for just half a second, letting the momentum carry her sideways through the space before hitting forward thrust again. It was the kind of move that could only be done by a human who trusted their instincts. The crew leaned closer to the viewing screen, eyes wide. Every second felt like a risk, yet every move looked deliberate. As Mara cleared the last of the rotating giants, the simulator registered her sector time. She had beaten the AI by over 40 seconds in the most dangerous section of the course. The fourth sector began instantly. It was a long open run toward the finish zone, but it was filled with scattered debris from an ancient battle. Broken ship hulls, shattered satellites, and drifting cargo containers spun through space. Many pieces were small, but a single impact at this speed could end the run. Mara did not slow down. She wove through the wreckage with the same aggressive precision she had used from the start. Her route was not random. She angled toward debris clusters that gave her slingshot opportunities. Using gravity pulls to gain extra speed, the viewing crew began murmuring to each other again. "She is gaining speed. She is going to finish with a huge lead," one said. Rian stayed quiet this time. His earlier doubt was replaced with a growing respect. He had challenged her to prove herself, and now he was watching her do exactly that. Halfway through the sector, a large cargo container tumbled into her path. The AI's paving would steer far around it. Mara, however, rolled the ship and passed under it with centimeters to spare, using the wake from its movement to give her a burst of forward motion. The simulator's clock ticked down the remaining distance. Mara kept her focus locked. Her breathing was steady, her posture controlled. She had no need for dramatic gestures. Her skill was in the way every choice flowed into the next without hesitation. The debris thinned as she neared the end of the run. The simulated stars opened into clear space. The finish marker was now visible as a glowing blue beacon. She angled toward it, keeping her speed high. The AI's best time flashed in the corner of her display. She was far ahead, with no reason to slow. She pushed the throttle to maximum. The ship roared toward the beacon, cutting across the last stretch in a straight line. When she crossed the finish point, the simulator triggered the end sequence. The ship slowed, the display faded, and the lights inside the pod shifted back to neutral. The hatch opened with a hiss. The hangar erupted in cheers. Even the captain allowed herself a small smile. Mara stepped out calmly, untying her hair as she walked toward the crew. Her eyes found Rian first. "Gentle or painful?" "You said she reminded him. I think that was the painful version. Rian shook his head in disbelief. But there was no mockery in his tone now. You beat the AI by almost a full minute. He said. The captain stepped forward. Navigator, that was a level of flying I have not seen in years. You just gave our AI something new to learn. The crew's cheers continued, but Mara simply nodded and walked past them toward the exit. She did not need to say more. The run spoke for itself. Behind her, the AI console began processing the data from her course. It would try to understand her decisions. It would not succeed. She had flown on instinct, and that was something no machine could truly copy. And now, on the Falcon's Reach, the legend of the human who beat the machine was already starting to spread. The day after Mara's simulator victory, the Falcon's Reach was preparing for departure from Outpost 12. The crew worked with more energy than usual. Conversations in the corridors always seemed to come back to one topic: the pilot who had beaten. The Mara kept her focus on her duties. She did not brag or discuss the challenge. She ran her navigation checks, updated star maps, and ensured all jump coordinates were verified. She had no idea that the real test of her skill was approaching faster than anyone expected. The mission ahead was supposed to be simple. The Falcon's Reach would travel to the mining colony at Ars Belt to deliver supplies and pick up processed ore. The route was safe, with only minor asteroid clusters and no history of hostile encounters. The crew expected an easy journey. That expectation broke when the captain received an urgent signal just as the ship was undocking. Commander Hale called her senior officers to the bridge. Mara, as the navigation officer, was among them. The holographic display showed the face of a mining supervisor from Ars Belt. His voice was tense. We have an emergency, he said. The supply hauler on approach to our station lost its engine control and drifted into Sector 9. That sector is currently unstable due to a large-scale asteroid break. The field is shifting too fast for our remote drones to reach them. We have 20 people aboard, and their life support will fail in 6 hours. The captain asked, why not use your own ships? The supervisor shook his head. Our only available pilots are tied up with another rescue on the far side of the belt. The hauler's position is deep inside the unstable field. You're the closest capable vessel. The message ended, and silence filled the bridge. Sector 9 was notorious among miners. It was an unpredictable, high-density asteroid cluster created by the collapse of a much larger body. The rocks drifted and collided constantly, creating sudden shock waves of debris. No AI could predict the movement for long, even experienced pilots often avoided it. The captain turned to her crew. The hauler is 20 kilometers inside the unstable zone. At current drift rates, they will be crushed or cut off before their air runs out. We can reach them in time, but only if we have someone who can fly through that mess without losing the ship. Rian glanced toward Mara. We already know who that is. Mara felt every eye turned to her. She kept her voice even. I will go. The captain studied her for a moment. You are aware that this is not a simulation. I know. Mara replied. But the conditions are similar. If we wait for a slower plan, they will die. The captain nodded. Very well. You will have full manual control. The AI will assist with data tracking only. Prepare immediately. Within minutes, the Falcon's Reach was moving at full speed towards Sector 9. The rescue bay was ready with medical kits, emergency air tanks, and cargo clamps to secure the hauler once they reached it. Mara sat in the pilot's seat. The rest of the bridge crew worked around her, monitoring the field ahead. The AI projected the asteroid movements, but as expected, the predictions quickly lost accuracy beyond 30 seconds. As they approached, the forward display filled with drifting giants. Massive fragments of rock spun through space, colliding and breaking apart into clouds of debris. Some carried streaks of ice. Others glinted with metal veins. The scene was beautiful, but it was also deadly. Mara, the captain said from her chair. Once we enter, your only priority is reaching the hauler. We will handle communications and rescue operations. You focus on flying. Understood. Mara said. The Falcon's Reach crossed into Sector 9. The inertial dampers shivered as the ship adjusted to sudden gravitational tugs from nearby asteroids. Mara's hand stayed steady on the controls. She angled the ship through the first opening, sliding between two rotating slabs of rock. The AI issued a warning. Collision risk of vector 0 for 3. Suggest altering course by 14 degrees. Negative. Mara replied. She shifted the ship by only 2 degrees and timed the pass perfectly as the rock swung away. The AI's path was too slow for the pace. She intended to keep Dot in the crew seats behind her. Rion gripped his harness. She is not giving those asteroids any room. She knows what she is doing, the captain said without looking away from the display. Mara's mind was fully in the run. She read the spin of each asteroid like a language. The vibrations in the control sticks told her when the ship was being pulled by a gravity pocket or pushed by a shockwave from a recent collision. She adjusted continuously, never breaking rhythm. The first 5 kilometers passed without incident. Then a chain reaction shook the sector. 2 large bodies collided far ahead, sending shards of rock flying in every direction. One fragment, the size of a small shuttle, spun toward their path. Brace, Mara warned. She rolled the Falcon's reach under the fragment, using a nearby asteroid's gravity to pull them into a faster curve. The move saved them from the fragment and positioned them closer to the hauler's location. Another warning sounded. The hauler's beacon was now weaker, meaning its systems were failing faster than expected. They have lost partial life support. The captain announced. Time remaining is down to 4 hours. Mara increased speed. She took sharper angles, using narrow gaps that no AI route would approve. Every risky move brought them seconds closer. Finally, the hull came into view. It was wedged between 2 asteroids that rotated slowly, but dangerously close to crushing it. Its hull bore fresh dents from smaller impacts. The ship's distress lights flashed weakly. Mara, the captain said, hold position as close as possible without getting trapped. We will deploy the rescue team. Mara threaded the Falcon's reach into a narrow position just meters from the hauler. The asteroids above and below them moved like giant gears. The margin for error was almost zero. Rescue team, go, the captain ordered. A pair of shuttle drones detached from the Falcon's reach. Guided by remote operators, they linked with the hauler's airlocks, transferring the stranded crew aboard. During the 15 minutes of rescue, Mara kept the Falcon's reach perfectly balanced between the moving rocks. Any drift could have destroyed both ships. Sweat formed along her hairline, but her focus never broke. When the last person was aboard, the captain gave the order to pull back. Mara eased the ship out of the gap, timing her reverse thrust to match the asteroid movement. Once clear, she turned them toward the open edge of the sector. The return trip was just as tense. The unstable field continued to shift, but with the rescued crew safe in the hold. The bridge crew watched with calmer eyes. Even so, they all knew one mistake could still end them. Mara kept the pace steady and precise. Every turn and every burst of thrusters was measured against the rhythm of the rocks. At last, they crossed the outer line of the sector. The debris fell away, and the open star field stretched before them. The bridge filled with the sound of relieved voices. The captain looked at Mara. You just saved 20 lives by doing what no AI could do, Rian added. And you made it look like another training run. Mara said nothing. She simply released the controls, leaned back in her seat, and let the Falcon's reach carry them toward Arspelt. Somewhere deep inside, she knew this would not be the last time her instincts would be called upon. The galaxy was vast, and danger was never far away. The Falcon's reach arrived at Arspelt with the rescued miners safe and grateful. The colony welcomed them warmly, offering supplies and fresh fuel in return. For a brief time, the ship's crew enjoyed a calmer pace. Mara spent her off hours in the navigation bay, updating her star charts. She preferred quiet work, but her recent actions meant she could not avoid attention. Crew members greeted her with respect, and some even asked for advice on manual flying. 2 days later, the captain called an early meeting on the bridge. The large central display showed a faint, repeating pattern of light pulses captured by the long-range sensors. This is what woke me at 4 in the morning, the captain said. Our deep scan picked up this signal coming from the edge of uncharted space, 6 light hours away. It is repeating in a structured pattern. It is not natural, the science officer added. We compared it to known communication codes from human and allied worlds. There is no match. The pattern is consistent, but the frequency changes slightly with every cycle. That suggests it is an intentional transmission. The bridge grew quiet. Contact with unknown civilizations was rare, and it was never approached lightly. The captain looked at her officers. We are the only capable vessel in range. Command wants us to investigate. We will approach carefully, record everything, and respond only if necessary. Mara, you will be primary pilot for this mission. Mara nodded. Understood. The crew moved quickly. The Falcon's reach left our belt and headed toward the signal source. As they closed the distance, the pulses grew stronger, more defined. The science officer adjusted filters, revealing that each burst contained layers of smaller signals within it, almost like a puzzle. By the time they reached the outer edge of the target zone, the signal was filling every sensor channel. The captain ordered a halt to drift at safe distance while they scanned. There, the sensor chief said, pointing at the display, "Object detected. Large, metallic composition. It is not on any known registry." The external cameras focused on a dark shape against the star field. It was massive, longer than the Falcon's reach by several hundred meters. Its hull was rough, patched with strange geometric panels. Dim blue lights ran in lines along its side. "It is a ship," Rian said quietly. "Or it was," the captain replied. "There is no visible movement, no heat signature from engines. It may be drifting." The science officer frowned. "The signal is coming directly from it. The pattern is too regular for random malfunction. Something is running on board." The captain turned to Mara. "We are going to approach slowly. Keep us at minimal thrust and watch for debris." Mara guided the Falcon's reach forward. The unknown vessel grew larger in the viewports, its surface showing more details. Scars from impacts, patches of mismatched metal, and sections that looked melted. The blue lights pulsed faintly in time with the signal. When they reached 1 kilometer distance, the captain ordered a full stop. The crew worked in silence, scanning every inch of the strange ship. The science officer reported. No signs of active weapons. No detectable life signs. Structure appears ancient, based on radiation decay. It could be hundreds of years old, maybe more. The captain said, "If there are no life signs, what is sending the signal? Possibly an automated system." The science officer replied, "Or something else." Rian, standing near the engineering console, leaned forward. "We could send a drone to dock and record data." The captain considered, then looked at Mara. "Your thoughts?" Mara kept her eyes on the display. The signal pattern changes slightly each cycle. That could be a test. It might be checking if we can follow. If we send a drone with a simple scanner, we may get nothing. We should try matching the signal first. The captain raised an eyebrow. "You think it is a kind of challenge?" "Yes," Mara said, "like a navigation puzzle in signal form. If we respond with the same frequency changes, we may be allowed closer." The science officer ran calculations and nodded. "She is right. The changes form a navigational curve, as if plotting a path through something." The captain made her decision. "Very well. Match the signal exactly and prepare to move forward." The communications team sent the mirrored signal. For a long moment, nothing changed. Then the blue lights on the alien ship brightened. A new signal pulse began, this one faster and more complex. They accepted. The science officer said, "This is the next step." Mara adjusted course to follow the implied path in the signal data. The Falcon's reach moved closer, weaving through empty space that seemed safe, but was marked on the sensors as a field of micro-debris. The path guided them around it without a single collision. Within minutes, they were alongside the alien ship. A large section of its hull opened slowly, revealing a dimly lit docking bay. "That was not automated debris clearance," Rian said. "It invited us in." The captain gave the order to hold position. "We will not dock until we understand the risks." The science officer's console beeped. New readings. Low-level power systems are active inside. Something is still alive in there, though it may not be biological. The captain addressed the crew. This could be the first contact with a civilization we know nothing about. We will proceed with extreme caution. Mara, keep us in position. If anything changes, you get us out immediately. For the next hour, the science and engineering teams studied every reading from the alien bay. The material composition of the walls was unknown, stronger than any alloy in human use. The interior layout matched no ship design they had ever seen. Finally, the captain called a decision. We will send a small team inside. We need to know who or what sent that signal. Rian was assigned to the engineering role. The science officer took the analysis lead. The security chief provided to guards. Mara was ordered to remain on the bridge, ready to pilot them out at the first sign of danger. As the shuttle carrying the away team drifted into the alien bay, Mara kept her eyes on the readings. She did not like the silence inside the other ship. Even with the faint pulsing lights, the place seemed abandoned in a way that felt deliberate. Minutes passed before the away team's voices came through the comms. We are inside, Rian reported. The air is stale but breathable. The walls are covered in symbols. No movement yet. The science officer added, the symbols repeat in the same sequence as the signal we received. I think this is some kind of ancient navigation archive. Mara, listen quietly. Something about the slow pulse of lights in the alien ship felt like a heartbeat. She had the strange sense they were being measured, just as they had been in the signal test. Then the comms crackled with an unexpected sound, a low, echoing tone from deep inside the alien vessel. The science officer's voice came back, tense. Captain, something has just activated. We may not be alone here after all. The captain looked at Mara. Be ready. If this turns hostile, you are our only way out. Mara's hands rested on the controls, her eyes locked on the shadowed interior of the alien bay. She could feel the same focus she had in the simulator and in Sector 9. Whatever came next, she was ready. Inside the alien vessel's docking bay, the away team froze at the sound of the deep, echoing tone. It vibrated through the metal floor and seemed to carry through their suits. The pulsing blue lights along the walls grew brighter and faster, casting sharp shadows across the strange geometric panels. Rian's voice came through the comms. Captain, we have a problem. Power levels inside are climbing. Something is activating. The captain's voice was calm. Stay where you are for now. Mara, keep us aligned for extraction. Mara's eyes stayed on the alien ship's silhouette, outside the Falcon's reach. Every instinct told her they were standing at the edge of a situation that could shift without warning. Her hands rested lightly on the controls, ready to move. Inside, the science officer's voice spoke again, more urgently. The lights are forming patterns. I think it is some kind of language. It is repeating in a sequence that matches the original signal we followed. Can you translate? The captain asked. Not yet. It is too complex. But it is reacting to our presence. A sudden metallic shift echoed through the alien bay. Massive doors along the far wall began sliding apart, revealing a corridor that extended deep into the vessel. The lights inside the corridor glowed in a slow, steady rhythm, almost like a path being lit for them. Rian said, It is inviting us further in. The captain paused. Do not advance. We need more data before we step deeper. The science officer objected. Captain, this may be the only chance to understand what built this ship. If it is showing us the way, there could be a reason. On the bridge, the crew watched the live feed from the away team's helmet cameras. The corridor was strange, the walls lined with the same symbols as before. The shapes seemed to shift slightly when viewed from different angles, creating the illusion of movement. Mara kept her eyes on the readings. She noticed something unusual. Captain, the debris field around the alien ship is moving. Small fragments are drawing closer. They are aligning into a pattern. The science officer, hearing her through comms, checked their own instruments. She is right. The movement is to organize to be natural. The debris is positioning itself, like a perimeter. That sounds like a defensive measure, Rian said. The captain's tone sharpened. Team, return to the shuttle now. Before they could respond, the deep tone rang out again. louder than before. The blue lights flared so bright that the cameras blurred. Then the docking bay doors began to close. "They are sealing us in," Rian reported. Mara's hands tightened on the controls. "Captain, if the doors close, we will lose direct line of sight to the shuttle." The captain gave the order instantly. "Mara, move us forward and hold at the threshold. We may need to force extraction." The Falcon's reach glided closer to the alien bay opening. The massive doors were already halfway shut. Mara angled the ship to align perfectly with the shrinking gap. "Team, move," the captain ordered. The away team sprinted toward the shuttle, their helmet lights bouncing across the alien floor. The deep tone continued, steady and loud. 30 seconds until the doors close, Mara called. The away team boarded the shuttle, re-unsealed the hatch, and signaled, ready for pickup. Mara pushed the Falcon's reach forward until the docking clamps caught the shuttle's beacon. The crew in the hangar worked fast to pull it inside. The moment the shuttle cleared the threshold, Mara reversed thrust and pulled the ship back into open space. The alien bay doors slammed shut behind them with a deep echo that rattled the hull. On the bridge, the captain exhaled slowly. "Status of the away team, all aboard and unharmed," came the reply from medical. The science officer removed their helmet and went straight to the analysis console. "Captain, we recorded all symbol patterns and the power readings. The increase in activity was deliberate. Whatever runs that ship wanted us to see the quarter, but also wanted to test how we would respond to being trapped." Rian added, "That was not just a defense system. It was watching us. The movement of the debris outside proves it can control its surroundings." Mara kept scanning the alien vessel on the forward display. The blue lights along its hull were now dimming, returning to the slow pulse they had when the Falcon's reach first arrived. The signal had also changed, its pattern altered in subtle ways. "It is not the same as before," Mara said. "The signal now has a new layer, like an added code." The science officer leaned over her console. "That could mean it has stored a record of our visit. Maybe it is adjusting for the next time we meet." The captain crossed her arms. "If this ship is capable of watching, testing, and remembering, then it is not just an artifact. It is an active intelligence." No one on the bridge spoke for a moment. The scale of what they had encountered was starting to settle in. This was not a drifting relic. It was a thinking presence, one that had chosen to interact with them. Mara looked at the course map. "Captain, the debris perimeter is starting to break apart. It is letting us leave. Then we leave." The captain said, "Helm, set us on a safe vector back toward Earthbelt. We will send our data to command from there." Mara followed the order, guiding the Falcon's reach away from the alien vessel. As they pulled back, the massive ship slowly rotated, its blue lights fading until it was only a shadow in the distance. The signal became weaker until it disappeared entirely. Hours later, the crew gathered in the briefing room. The science officer presented a clean image of the alien symbols. "This repeating set here matches the navigational curve in the original signal. The rest is still unknown, but I think it could be coordinates. If so, they may lead to another location." The captain studied the image. "Or they may lead to a trap." Rian leaned forward. "Either way, this changes everything. That ship knew we were here, tested our reactions, and then let us go. That means it had a choice." Mara listened quietly. Her mind replayed the moments when the debris moved into a perimeter and the bay doors closed. Those actions were not random. They were deliberate moves by something that understood cause and effect. The captain closed the meeting with a single order. "We will deliver this information to command and await further orders. Until then, no one shares details outside this crew. We do not yet know what we are dealing with." As the crew dispersed, Mara stayed in the room a moment longer. She studied the symbol image on the display. The repeating curve reminded her of a path through an asteroid field, but it was too large in scale to be anything local. It pointed toward deep space, far beyond map territory. She had the uneasy feeling that the alien ship had not just tested them, it had marked them. And if it had, then whatever waited at the end of that path might already be aware they were coming. The Falcon's reach moved steadily through space. Heading toward the coordinates decoded from the alien ship's symbols, Mara sat at the helm. Watching the stars shift around them, the journey took them beyond familiar charts and into dark, uncharted space. The crew was quiet. The tension from their encounter lingered like a shadow. Every new star system or asteroid belt felt like it might hide something unexpected. The captain gathered the crew in the briefing room. "We follow the path carefully," she said. "The alien ship gave us the coordinates. We do not know what awaits, but we are prepared for anything." The science officer nodded. "The signals we have decoded so far indicate the location is an ancient star system. It may have been a center of civilization long ago. We could find valuable data or something else." Rian, the engineer, frowned. "Something else? Like what?" "Like an automated defense system or hazard left behind. That ship tested us. It is likely we are not the first to arrive." Mara looked out the viewport. "Then we have to be ready. The faster we react, the better our chance to succeed." Days passed. The Falcon's reach crossed asteroid fields and quiet, empty space. Mara spent hours recalibrating their sensors to detect anything unusual. The captain studied the data with the science officer. Then one morning, the sensor suddenly lit up. A massive structure appeared on the scanner, orbiting a faded yellow star. It was a ring-shaped space station, enormous and ancient, covered in layers of dust and small damage. The captain stared. "That must be it, the destination." Mara felt a thrill of excitement mixed with caution. "It looks abandoned or waiting." The science officer added. They moved closer, and Mara carefully maneuvered the ship into orbit around the station. The signal was stronger here. It came from a small section on the ring's outer edge, where strange blue lights flickered faintly. The captain called a meeting. "We will send a drone to investigate first. No crew outside the ship unless absolutely necessary." The drone launched smoothly and entered the station through a large opening. Inside, cameras showed long corridors covered in symbols like those on the alien ship. But here, the walls seemed cleaner, less damaged. Suddenly, the drone's feed changed. The lights inside the station flickered, and an unseen force slowed the drone's movement. It felt like the station itself was alive, watching the drone carefully. The drone sent back a warning signal before losing power completely. The science officer frowned. "The station systems are still active. Some kind of energy is interfering with us." The captain looked at Mara, prepared to take manual control. "We may need to pilot a shuttle inside." Mara swallowed her nerves. This was more dangerous than anything they had faced, but she was ready. The shuttle launched, and Mara guided it through the station's open entrance. The corridors inside were vast and silent, their walls lined with glowing symbols and strange technology. Suddenly, the lights around them pulsed, and the floor vibrated slightly. The station was responding to their presence. Mara stayed focused, staring carefully through the winding passages. The shuttle's sensors detected no life signs, but an overwhelming sense of awareness filled the air. The captain's voice came over comms. "Keep moving toward the signal source. We need answers." As they neared the core of the station, a room filled with strange machines and consoles appeared. Symbols covered every surface, and a large crystal pulsed with energy in the center. The science officer began scanning the crystal. "This is a data core. It may hold information about the station's creators." Suddenly, the crystal emitted a bright flash. The shuttle systems flickered, then stabilized. A soft voice echoed through their helmets. "Welcome, travelers. You have passed the test of the ancient guardians. You are worthy of the knowledge you seek." The crew exchanged surprised looks. The voice was calm and clear, but not human. The captain replied, "We come seeking understanding." "Who created this station?" The voice answered, "An ancient race. Long gone, protectors of knowledge and peace. We left these stations as beacons for those who could prove their wisdom and courage." The science officer asked, "What wisdom do you offer?" The voice said, "Knowledge of the stars, technology beyond your imagining, and the means to protect your world. But these gifts require great responsibility." Mara felt a new hope. Their journey had led to something bigger than they expected. But she knew the challenges were only beginning. The captain thanked the voice. "We will carry your message with honor." As the shuttle prepared to leave, Mara looked once more at the glowing crystal. She understood that their world was about to change forever. The shuttle left the ancient station and returned to the Falcon's Reach. Mara guided it carefully through the station's open gates, the soft glow of the crystal fading behind them. The voice's words echoed in her mind: knowledge, technology, responsibility. It felt like a promise and a challenge all at once. Back aboard the main ship, the crew gathered in the briefing room once more. The captain looked around at their tired but hopeful faces. "We have been given something rare, a chance to learn from an ancient civilization. This knowledge could help us protect our worlds and explore deeper into space." The science officer nodded, his eyes bright. The data core contained information about advanced propulsion systems, energy shields, and medical technology far beyond our current understanding. "If we can unlock even part of it, we will change the future." Rian leaned forward, enthusiasm growing. "We can start working on improvements right away. Faster ships, better defenses, longer missions." Mara smiled for the first time in days. "And safer journeys. We won't just be flying blind anymore." The captain raised her hand for silence. "But we must be cautious." The message also warned us about responsibility. This power is not for conquest or greed. It is to protect life and promote peace. Over the next weeks, the crew worked tirelessly. Scientists and engineers studied the data, building models and running simulations. Mara tested new navigation protocols inspired by the ancient star charts. Slowly, the Falcon's Reach transformed from a rescue ship into a vessel of discovery and hope. News from Aris Belt brought further encouragement. The colony had begun using some of the ancient knowledge to improve their systems. Crops grew better, energy became cleaner, and medical care improved. The gift of the stars was spreading. One evening, as the Falcon's Reach orbited Aris Belt, Mara stood at the observation deck. The stars glittered around her like 1,000 tiny promises. She thought about how far they had come from chasing a strange signal to holding the keys of ancient wisdom. The captain joined her quietly. "You did well, Mara. Your skills saved us more than once." Mara shook her head humbly. "It was the whole crew, and the ancient guardians guiding us." The captain smiled. "Yes, but your courage to face the unknown was what opened the door." Mara looked back to the stars. "I wonder what other mysteries are waiting out there." The captain nodded. "And I know we will find them together." Suddenly, the ship's sensors picked up a faint signal, different from the one before but clearly artificial. The captain straightened. "Looks like our journey is just beginning." Mara grinned. "Let's see where the stars lead us next." With renewed hope, the Falcon's Reach prepared to set course toward the new signal, ready to explore, learn, and protect. The ancient gift had changed them, but their spirit remained the same, a determination to face the vast unknown with courage and wisdom. The stars awaited.